I'm filming, Grandpa. Do you want to tell me about the homestead?
This is the grandma that homesteaded,
Okay.
and she married this guy in 1887.
Okay.
That's 4 years. He homesteaded the quarter next year.
Oh, okay. She came out here by
And he was a
herself, didn't she?
blacksmith in Guelph, and they lived on the farm for a while, and then they moved to Guelph as a blacksmith, and that's when my mother was born
Okay.
in Guelph. And then her sisters were born at the farm, this farm here. That's the house they lived in. And this is my grandma when us boys, Paul, Clarence, or Fred, and me, and Roy. Louise wasn't born yet.
Oh, okay.
And this is some of the horses they had. Everything was done with horses. And the first the homestead was a sod shanty built back here. And then the house was built in 1905. And the barn was built in 1921.
Okay.
And this is us four boys. And this is my dad's grandpa. He was in Iowa, and he come up to North Dakota. My dad come up in 1918 and lived with my Uncle Klaus, worked for him south of Guelph.
Okay.
And then Dad and Arnold bought the house where Jason lives now, or the old farmhouse and land. And then he come up in 1920 or 21 and lived there a couple of years with Arnold and Dad. And Dad met my mother and two aunts. Their dad died in 1927, and they tried to farm on their own, the girls.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know what to do with the machinery. The drills squeaked in the wheels, and my dad went over and told them what to do. That's where he met my mother.
Okay.
And they got married in 1927. And then Paul was born in 1929, and I was born in 1930. And Clarence was born in 32, and Roy was born in 1935.
Okay.
And Louise was born in 1940 or 41. I don't know exactly. That's Louise there. That's my mother. That's my dad. That's me, Roy, Paul, Clarence.
Okay.
And then goes down to the farm pictures there of the street. And that's the house they built onto in 1921. This is just the first part right here, and then they added on that other. And we rode all the horses and everything. that we had. We had 14 horses in the barn and 14 cows, stanchions. This is the picture when we got married down in Minnesota.
Okay.
And this is mother, me, and my son John, and Justin. That's 4 generations. That's who owns the land that my grandma homesteaded in 1983. Is still owned by John or Justin. I don't know which one.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
It's in the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is, I don't know just who that is.
That's John and
Yeah,
Jan, I think.
Jan
and Stephen and
yeah,
Nathan and Justin.
and their family. And this is Dora's great-grandchildren.
Yeah, so that's all
That
of
would
us.
be her. She died in 1941.
Okay.
And this, we got married in 1957.
Okay.
I don't know where they got the 70.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That doesn't make much sense, but
I don't know where Mary got that. That's wrong.
yeah, I don't know either.
This is me and the horses I had for riding. And that's our Quandt brothers. All the kids, 9 kids, and mother, and me.
Okay.
And that's Quandt Brothers Farm that we're in, the first farm.
Okay. So that's you and all my uncles?
Yeah, that's still Quandt Brothers Farm.
Mm-hmm.
And now they got Quandt Farms as the younger generation. Jason and all, Justin, John, or Nathan, and Stephen. They're in the young farm generation. Gabe will be in there too.
Yeah.
He gets older. Start from when after we got homesteaded, we lived in that farm till 1956.
Okay.
And then I went on 50s, 3 and 4. We went to visit the Red Ed school teacher and ended up marrying her in 1957.
So I'm assuming that's grandma.
Before that, we did, as boys in the Elkhorns, we did a lot of hunting. That was our, instead of chasing girls, that was our hobby. And 1947, we run out of hay upstairs in the hay mow in the barn, and we had to stack out in the field, and they had so much snow that year, we took the sleds and hay racks and pitched the hay onto the hay racks on sling, and then put it up in the hay mow in the barn. And evidently, I don't know if I lifted too much or anyhow, I got a ruptured appendix. And of course, Dad didn't take me into the hospital or the doctor till the next morning. We come into Oaks. The Oaks hospital, the house of 29 was the hospital, and it was full. So the doctor sent us down to Britain, South Dakota, where they built a new hospital, where he did some doctor,
Mm.
and he had me doctor with Dr. Driston. He was a real good doctor down there. There was 3 doctors actually, Dr. Driston and Dr. Rice, and that's the other one. I can't think of his name now. Anyhow, he had a ranch west of Britain, the other one, and then he was a kind of a veterinary doctor. Anyhow, between the 3 of them, or Dr. Driston operated on me for the ruptured appendix. Well, evidently, I got some fluid behind my stomach. I come home for about a week, and then I started turning yellow, and Dad took me back down to Britain, and there was an abscess behind my stomach. They tried to dissolve it, but it didn't work, and I lost a lot of blood. Then, so I had all the neighbors around, like my brothers and Bill Randall and Art Coonrath and Darwin Coonrath. They had the same type blood I did. They laid alongside of me, and I had 11 blood transfusions
Oh my
over a
gosh.
period of about a month. Well, that still didn't cure the abscess behind my stomach. So I had to stay in there, and they opened my stomach all the way up and took it out and took the abscess off. And I went from 200 pounds down to 128 or 118, I think it was.
Oh my gosh.
And I was in the hospital for about 90 days. And the doctor still wanted me to stay down there, but the hospital was full, so he let me stay in his room in his house upstairs where he could drain the abscess off every day. I'd come to the walk to the hospital. It was just about a block. And he would drain the abscess off, and finally they got it cured where I could go home. So I didn't, from probably the end of November to end of March, I was in the hospital.
Wow.
And my mother and folks would come down usually on Tuesday and then on Saturday, visit. And had some nurses. They kind of liked me, I guess. I don't know. One was from Wayne Lamato's daughter from Elmdale. And I don't know, she kind of liked me. So and while I was there, I didn't have nothing to do, so I read the Bible.
Okay.
There was a Bible in the room, you know. So I read that all the way through, and I'm glad I did.
Oh, yeah.
And I should do it again. I kind of went from there. I just figured there's one God, and no matter what religion you got, there's only one God.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured the mother raises the children and has the children, they should go the religion she wants to go. So that's when I joined the Catholic Church.
Okay.
I was a Lutheran. At first I was Episcopalian.
Okay.
And then I joined the Lutheran Church. And in them days, the Lutherans and the Catholics just didn't get along. One seemed to want to fight the other one. But I never took sides on either one. I just went by the Bible, and that's the way I lived.
That's
And
good.
I keep telling the daughter-in-laws that marry out of the religion. They're the ones that had the children. They can go to one. They take the children to the religion. The man hardly ever takes the children to the religion.
Mm.
And that's the way they should go. And I tell all the daughter-in-laws, and I'm glad I did. I don't know that it's working out good. And they get along with the farm. I don't know that they probably have their ups and downs, but I don't hear about them. But
Yeah.
I don't want to find out everything. And now they got another younger corporation. First, the corporation is Quandt Brothers. In that corporation, you had to be a blood relative to get in on the farm.
Mm.
Now the Quandt Farms, I don't think they got that. I'm not sure. That way, somebody can't sue and get the whole farm. But they got some great grandkids. 13 of them, I guess.
You got one more on the way, too.
13 great and 28 grandkids, as far as I know.
Actually, 24 grandkids.
24?
1953, he's 54, these two gals from Minnesota come up to the Riverdale school. Some of them, we used to go up to Canada fishing quite a bit. And they would go along, and we'd had you eat the fish as fast as we catch them. We took a boat. We drove to what was it, Kenora? The other town. Not Kenora.
Kennebec?
Anyhow, we were fishing in the lake there. They'd haul us out, and they had boats and stuff and cabins. And the family would stay there, and we would go fishing. Mary and a girlfriend of hers went along one morning or afternoon, and of course we were heading back to where the island where Bernie and the rest of them were at, and they were goofing around the boat, weren't hanging on, and we hit a rock. And there's a lot of rocks there, and you couldn't see them there below the water. And of course, when they hit the rock, the motor blew up, and always never locked the motor. You never know when you can hit a rock.
Yeah.
And they wasn't ready for it, and Mary flew ahead, and the next step, she broke her arm. So we went back to the island, and there happened to be a doctor there that was fishing, and he put a splint on her. And then the guy had an airplane that lived on the island, and he flew her into Kenora. I never went along. It was just a two-place airplane, Mary and the pilot. And they lit right by the hospital in the water. The hospital was connected to the water, landing on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And they set her arm, but they didn't quite get it straight or something. Anyhow, when they got back to the United States, they had to re-break it and set it again. And she had never had any trouble, I don't think.
They put plates in and screw the plates together like that. and stuff. And the girl that was along was Mary Elcover.
Okay.
No, I think it was Whiteman.
No, that was Mary Elcover.
I don't remember. Anyhow, they weren't paying attention what was going on. Of course, I didn't think it was going to hit a rock, you know.
Yeah.
And Mary might tell the story a little bit differently too.
Uh.
Yeah. And then I used to go out Montana hunting. They used to come out there sometimes for Thanksgiving or out to Butte.
It took Grandma Quandt along too with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes, we did the one time, and Grandma Quandt used to eat garlic, tons of garlic. And so we would take chewing gum. And Mary said, Grandma, have some chewing gum. And she, I don't like chewing gum, Mary. You really need that chewing gum, Grandma. Really, would you chew it, please? And she did.
Fred, my brother was there. They had a house there, and they lived there for 10, 12 years, I suppose.
Quite a while.
Yeah. I went out there hunting, and I'd stay there right in their house. We'd hunt, about 20 miles from up in Fleecer Mountain, where he knew the country pretty good. I got to know it. That's where I got most of these big elk.
Okay.
And a couple years later, we went with Terry Dimmelman and Bonacamp, Jerry Bonacamp. We went into the grizzly bear area where you had to go just by horses. There's no way to get in there. And that's where I shot the bear.
Okay.
Shot one bear, I don't know. Kevin was along, because he had Kevin Bleeker was along. He had a horse that wasn't scared of bears. Most of the horses are scared of bears. They smell a bear, they get wild.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the time you took 2 overshoes for the same foot?
What?
You took 2 overshoes for the same foot?
Yeah.
Yep, he had
I
the
went,
boots or whatever were for
Mhm.
the same foot. So they've got pictures of him with his.
and some outfitter said he went, stopped there, talked to him, and he said, "You got 2 feet, 2 shoes on the same foot." And yeah, that's the only one I brought along. But that was all. There was no roads in there. You had to go in by horse or walk, but it was too far to walk. It was uphill, 7 miles, I think. You had to go, and then we went over the divide, and we hunted on the other side, which was only the other side of there was Yellowstone Park, and there was no way to get in there. You had either by walk or by horse.
Mm-hmm.
If you walked, we stayed in tents. We took the tents along on the horses. We had one horse that got kind of wild, and they had the eggs on her, and she started bucking and shaking the eggs and busted a bunch of them. So we had a mess.
You had scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We salvaged some, but
I think you should tell about the time that you guys couldn't get back to the house where you had to sleep outdoors and you
Oh.
didn't have
Yeah, there's 2 times I slept in the mountain. One time I was hunting down by Darby with Darvin Coonrath and Tom Shoemaker and me and Woody Goldswick. Or when Wayne Husky. Wayne Husky and Woody Goldswick went with me, and Tom Shoemaker went with Darvin Coonrath. We were out there the year before, hunted with a friend of his that was in the service with him. And he wanted us to come out there the year before, and of course we went back with them into a wilderness area and stayed in the camp. Well, they had to go back, and Darwin and I stayed on the mountain there, and they had a camp. They just left there they had to go back for election, I think. Anyhow, Darwin and I stayed there, but we never got no elk. We seen elk, but never could get a shot at them. And then the next year, then Woody and Wayne and I and Darwin and Tom Shoemaker went, and we took. It wasn't horses, and we drove in as far as we could, and we thought we could get to that camp from the top down. So Wayne and I and Woody Goldswick started in from the top, and Tom took the pickup around the bottom and was going to come in to where the camp was and meet us there. Well, they stayed there. We never showed up that night. Wayne and I and Woody were heading in there, and it's all woods, and we seen a lion track, so in the snow. So we followed that for a ways, and then we got mixed up in the woods, and we wasn't on the right trail down to the camp. So I knew if we went the other way, we would end up on the river, downhill on the river. But we didn't make it out. It got dark, and instead of trying to go out, I built a fire. I always took matches with me, but I couldn't get these bark beech burns pretty easy off the bark trees, and I couldn't get that to light.
Oh, wow.
So I had some check blanks in my pocket. I lit them and got the fire going. And of course, Woody and Wayne they were scared of the lion that was going to come and get them, I guess. They wouldn't sleep. They kept the fire going all night. A lot of wood around there, so I slept and they kept the fire going.
Now, was Fred there with you too?
No, that was the time later on.
Okay.
The second time I got lost, we was in the same area, but by Darby more, and was supposed to meet. We dropped us off on the top, Fred and I, and who was it? Vic and
Oh yeah.
and I don't know who was there. The Thomas that used to be in town here. Anyhow, they were gonna go around to the bottom where we come out. Well, we got up in there, it started snowing. You get in the mountains, you get a snowstorm, it just like closes in on you. You can't see where you're going, or you lose directions. So we didn't make it all the way out. Freddie we was going on the creek. I figured it was the right creek going out, but he fell in the creek.
Oh
Look
no.
at the Fred.
So we had to stop then because he was all wet. And we built a fire next to the creek in a kind of a cave out area where it's out of the wind. And I knew we couldn't make it out because he was all wet. Built this fire and they put a log from the top down into the fire, and that kept burning all night as the slide down as the burn. It kept the fire, and by morning he was all dried off. But them guys in the tent or in the camp were worried, you know, somebody was hurt or something. But wasn't that far, only a couple miles from camp, but couldn't make it when he was wet. I think we would have made it otherwise. But we was on the right creek, but yeah. You always want to carry matches or some candy bars, something with you, apples.
Yeah.
You always had a backpack. That was your survival kit.
I think it's so great as you taught your sons and now your grandsons about going camping and going. It just kind of.
Never know. Somebody might break a leg. I broke a leg once out there.
Yeah, you did.
With Jeff. It was long.
In 2000, the year we moved here.
I still got a plate in there. Worked good. Better than the other leg.
It was sliding down a mountain.
Yeah. It slipped and instead of sliding all the way down, I seen this rock and I was gonna stop myself with the rock and I broke my leg.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. I should have slid all the way down. I ended up sliding all the way down anyhow. And the rifle slid right alongside of me. And I thought I wasn't too far from where Jeff dropped me off. He was going to sit there and wait. I scared some elk up and go up past him out in the meadow. And I knew if I side hilled around, I would get to where he was. So I took my rifle as a cane, and at that foot I never took my boot off. I just left it tight on my ankle, and I made it back to the pickup. But I didn't have. I should have took my walkie-talkie along, but I didn't. I was just familiar with the area, but there was snow and slippery, and I shouldn't have went down that hill. I should have went around.
Well, you went down a little faster than you expected.
But then I slid down, and then I had to go down to meet the pickup. And we went down. First, I didn't think it was broke that. You know, I had my boot on. It hurt some, but not real bad. So we went down in Caribou Gulch where we would have ended up. And evidently, with the hassle up there, we scared the elk down, and them guys that were camped down there, they got 9 bull elk out of that bunch.
Wow.
Because you slid down the wrong way, huh?
Yeah. I would have got into them if I wouldn't have done that. But.
So where did you go to the doctor then
In Butte.
in Butte?
And he said, well, I can't set it. No, the doctor wasn't there. There was, they took an x-ray of it and said it's broke. And then I called called home here. And Mary lined me up the next day at McDougal in Aberdeen for setting it. So Jeff and I drove back home. He didn't get no hunting that week.
But somebody else got those 9 bull elk.
Yeah.
Should have given you
But
some of the
always-
meat.
The boys, I enjoyed hunting with them. Learn them.
And you
Learn
enjoy
them what I knew and what you shouldn't do.
and what you shouldn't do. Yes, there are a few at those times too.
Yeah.
I just ask Kevin Bleeker sometimes. But also, I think one of the best things you have done is to get your sons to love the farming and to be able to do the farming and have those farming. And
Yeah.
I think that is really the best thing you have done with your children, because that has carried on the farming tradition through the years.
I got son Jason. I got him kind of into the cattle. He takes care of the cattle part. And his son Gabe, he's got quite a few cattle now. He's interested. So he's got 5 bulls on this year's bull sale. And Gabe wanted to buy this heifer. This old guy that had the bull sale, he talked him in, he should buy it and pay for it later on. He'll take the bull calf or something from that heifer.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go out skunk hunting. We'd take a wire and the skunks they went in these culverts under the road. That's where they hibernate for the winter.
Okay.
And we'd take a barbed wire fence wire, put a little cake in it, and crank out until we get all the hay and straw out. And then we'd get the skunk by his tail or something, pull him out, shoot him.
Did the skunks ever
Sometimes
manage?
Sometimes they sprayed us,
that you-
and we'd skin them out and sell them. Skinned a lot of fox out. I skinned. When we went with the airplane, we had, sometimes I skinned 40 of them
Wow.
a day between the pilot and Cyril and I, because we couldn't only carry so many on the airplane, too heavy.
Hmm.
We just carried the hide. That's when the hide got worse. $5 or something like that.
Okay.
And back then, $5 went a long way.
Yeah, a lot more than it goes now.
And when you first started working for Visto, did you get $1 an hour?
Yeah, started.
And I got 75 cents an hour when I worked at the Anthony store.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the land east where the boys farm, my uncle's brother bought 2 sections of land, which 640 acres in each one.
Mm-hmm.
He bought 2 sections for $3 an acre.
Wow.
And now that same land is worth $3,000 an acre.
Oh my gosh.
Boys own 1 section of it. Thompson's own the other section.
It really is amazing when you think about how the land has increased.
He sold his land to the homesteader, where they sold that for Johnny Visto, where the Elkovers originally homesteaded next to where the Quandt. That's where Tony Elkover met my dad's sister. It's just a mile apart there. In them days, you didn't go 10 miles to meet some girls. That's all of the horses.
But my dad did. It was about 12 miles that he went and courted my mother.
Oh, wow.
So he was, yep. Oh, I don't think there were any girls around that area though, where he lived. That Flensburg area was pretty. Okay, I think one thing.
We used to belong to the church there. There were some girls who used to play softball. Weedle girls. They were pretty friendly girls.
These girls keep coming into the picture here.
And, we play softball and belonged to the same youth league in the church. And guys from Sturm come over and they started dating these girls. Of course, we were more interested in hunting than girls. They ended up marrying them.
Oh.
So they swiped the Oaks girls. We lived just a mile west of town on top of the hill or hills. Or what's the name? Not Hill. Yeah, Hill used to live there, but that's the one Nita married.
I don't know.
They married their farm was Tom Rodine. Gebhardt.
Oh, okay.
They used to live on my mother's farm. That's where their folks lived.
Okay.
He went with Nita, the one that used to be a friend of Mary's, and married her. Nita Dudley.
Okay, I think one of the things we need to talk about a little bit is how this man loves to lose his rings.
What?
You like to lose your rings. Your wedding ring. But the amazing thing is he lost the wedding ring probably 2-3 weeks after we were married. But then that ring was found, picked up by what?
The rodeo.
And brought into the yard, and
48 years later.
Mike looked at that and he said, "Did Dad have that kind of a ring?" And I said, "Yeah, he did, and he lost it." Well, then this old guy was wearing it for a while and he lost it again.
Grandpa.
And he thought he lost it over at the ballpark and probably was in the garbage, and they looked through the garbage can and everything and couldn't find it. Well, you know, he carries lunches out to the guys, and Pam picked up one of those bags and shook it. There was something in there. And lo and behold, there was the ring again. Back again.
Yeah, it slipped off when I was taking the lunches out. It's too big for me now.
And so that's...
My hands are shrinking.
Mm.
But the wedding ring keeps going along.
Talk up there.
On August 21st, 1958, and she was a very cute little girl. But when I saw her, she had a cone,
Oh.
and the sister looked at me and she said, "You know, that'll go away." And she put her hand down just to show me how that would be. Well, she looks a lot better that way. It was not so great. And John was born in 59, and he had decided he didn't think he wanted to be born because I was in the hospital for 2 days. On and off. I'd get pains, and then they'd give me a shot, and they'd go away. And finally the nun came in, and she's going to give you this. She said, "I'm giving you this shot. This is going to do it." And he was born. Never had a stitch or anything with this broad-shouldered kid. And Mike was born in 60, in September. John was born in September also.
Okay.
And then Jeff was born the following year. He was born in January, which was kind of strange. It was really icy out and stuff. It was kind of like a rainy, funny winter. And then Kathy came along.
He was born in June.
Kathy was born in June. And I'm trying to think now, is it, he was, oh dear. Kathy, what year were you born? Hey, what year was Kathy born?
63.
Yeah. And and after Kathy was Jim.
When was he born?
64.
64, 65?
No, I'm 65.
You're 65, okay. Susie's 65, Jim was 64. And then along came your mama.
She was 68, right?
Yep, she was born in 68.
Hey, Mom, tell them about that big storm when I was a baby. Wasn't that like the biggest storm of 65?
You mean that storm where Mary and I were sitting out in the car behind the Anthony store?
No, the snowstorm.
Oh, the big snowstorm. Oh, yeah, that big snowstorm. That was in,
65.
yeah,
I'm 66.
66. It
yeah.
was 66. Yep, and Walt was going to end up going to Texas.
Dallas, Texas, picking my folks.
And the weather got bad, so he didn't go. But it stormed for 5 days.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would have done out there with all those kids. I mean,
Yeah.
John was
No
old
alert.
enough, so he could help me to a certain degree, but
Had no electricity. Had a propane burner, heater. And we'd fry eggs and stuff in the pan on the top of that.
as things started melting, I know I did make French fries on there
Yeah.
on up then, got those done. But that was my sister Aggie was there at the time too, and it was not. You were just a baby then.
Yeah, you told me you'd have to snowmobile to go get formula
Yeah.
or whatever, and you couldn't even get out the door of the house.
Oh, it was a nasty one. It was cold too. I remember it was.
Forgot to tell you, when we were in town here, we lived back at Economy Oil. Mary played with Nita Dudley. He was older a couple years.
Oh, she convinced her to drink something, didn't she?
And Mother had a cleaning fluid sitting on top of the toilet. And,
I think we told you about that, didn't we?
Yeah, you guys
We
did
tell her about
earlier.
that already.
Okay.
Yep,
How she
we
convinced her to drink it and
Yeah.
then got.
had the pine salt.
Mary was the one who seemed to have all the accidents.
and John ran away, but he said,
Yeah, we talked about John running away too.
How about your 25th wedding anniversary
oh,
and
yeah,
the
we had
storm?
Oh yeah, that was.
25th anniversary. We had out on the farm, and all the neighbors come, and we had music in the shop. What was his name? Played the music.
Yeah. Well, we had that really bad storm the night before.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was going to have any electricity because I cooked up the roasts and everything that we served at this, and we made the salads and all of that, and served this. And there were quite a lot of the relatives from Minnesota came, my aunts and my sisters and stuff, and we had quite a few that came for that 25th one.
Sabania's Joni's husband played the band.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name was.
His name was.
And then, of course, there was a lot of John's friends come out from town, and he played old time music, and the kids had a radio in the car, and they were playing that outside.
And there was beer.
Scandalous.
I don't know, did we have whiskey too? I just don't remember that. I know there was beer.
I think there was some around.
Yeah, we would have had to for Uncle Edward because he wouldn't have probably drank the beer. Anyway, and then we had a 40th celebration at the Riverside.
I was 3 days old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you weren't very old. No, that's right. And then the 60th. Yeah, so we've had celebrations now. No more of those kind of celebrations.
No more?
No more big celebrations.
Yeah.
Not even if you guys get to 70?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
You never know. Of course, Jason, we forgot to say Jason was born in 1975. He was born the year Walt's dad died.
Oh.
76.
75, Walt. So he died.
75.
Yes.
He was 76 years old. He was born in 1899.
Wow.
My mother was born in 1897. She was older than my dad.
Huh.
And
What was it like growing up during that? Like during the Great Depression and all that kind of stuff?
after we moved down, I kept driving bus and helping the boys on the farm.
What was that question you tried to ask, Sarah?
What was it like growing up during the Great Depression?
I was born in the Great Depression.
Okay.
See, that was before.
Okay.
The Depression actually was over with in
Yeah.
36 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And things started getting better. See, I was growing up in Minnesota at that time and stuff. And my dad talks about how he had to kill his baby calves and stuff because we milked cows. And he couldn't send them to St. Paul there because it cost too much money. So he ended up just having to kill them. And I can remember him telling me that he was so really sad about. That was one of the really sad things.
Mm-hmm.
But we never really noticed the Depression so much because we raised everything on the farm. We had our meat, we had all the vegetables. My mother canned everything, and the only thing we ever bought was gas, flour, and
Beans.
sugar.
Beans.
Because most, we raised everything. So, and we had all our meat. We had the meat, and then we had the milk, and we had the cream, and we had butter, and all that stuff. So, I never really feel that it was such a depression. And we never had the wind and the dust storms that you guys had in North Dakota. Yeah, in Minnesota, we never just didn't
We had
notice
more
that.
trees. We didn't have trees until the 40s. When we moved to town, then I kept driving bus and working on the farm with the boys and checking the cows, and I still do that. Enjoy doing it. Out in the fields and just offhand, I'll say my prayers and checking cows and stuff. And I do more of that than I do in the church. And I feel I'm more closer to God doing it. I guess first place I enjoy it when I went hunting. I'd climb up to the top of the mountain. That's what Jesus did.
and say a prayer up there for thanking God that I could do it.
And please, let me see an elk that I can shoot.
And all these animals, heads out here, I shot. I don't know if you got pictures of them or not.
Yeah.
In Montana and North Dakota. And I mounted, I used to hunt with a jewelry store guy in town. And he mounted or taxidermist most of the hide. Made some of the rings for the elk teeth. And he died when he was 64 years old, I think. Cancer. And then, of course, I hunted a lot with Tom Smith's brother, Dick Smith. He was about a year older than I was, I guess. And we hunted, Vic Stoik and I and Dick hunted together a lot in Montana. And he got killed in an airplane hit the house for John and Jan.
Wait, what?
Bought.
He was killed with plane accident.
They were putting out blackbird poison on the sunflowers, dropping it from the airplane. And they hit an air pocket or something and they couldn't lift. And it didn't hit the church, but you come right towards it and hit that house where John and Jan lived there. And he was killed. And of course, I've been a good friend of Tom's for many years. Albert Smith, that was their dad. He was a real good friend of my dad's.
Are you finished talking about the good old days?
Well, in 2015, I think, I quit driving bus. I think
Oh, it was sooner than that, Walt.
Was it?
2015 is only 4 years ago. You haven't been driving a bus for quite a while.
No, I haven't stopped them yet.
No.
I think you were stopped driving bus before the time I went to kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Quite a while.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, I drove 33 years.
Yes, you did drive 33 years. That was one of the longest bus driving people, but then this other bus driver who was a lady drove the bus longer.
Yeah, we drove 35 years. And now we're enjoying a senior year, living here in Mary's house. And this is good for the handicap as any nursing home, really. I put in an elevator when we built it, but we got it for a dumb waiter.
And we've got the elevator full of stuff, food,
But
all kinds of stuff.
we could use wheelchairs and come from the garage into the elevator and then get elevated up.
Yeah, it could be used.
Could be used.
We took it,
It's
you
a
know,
real-
we needed to.
I don't know if Mary will kick us out by then or
What I would like to know, Walt, do you want to talk about your episode last Thursday?
then the other night, the other day.
Yeah, the one in the diner.
Yeah.
Not the diner.
Well, at first, I went to the lady doctor, Mrs. Erlington, and she changed my pills around and wanted Mary to fill them out for a week. And I was taking 20 milligram of blood pressure in the morning and 20 in the night. Well, she put down 40 in the morning and wasn't really thinking.
Mm.
And of course, I took the 40 in the morning, and then I had a half a grapefruit. And I got sitting there after breakfast. I got kind of dizzy, and I just sat there. And I don't know. The guys that were there said I let my head down and like I was sleeping. And finally, Tom Smith said, "Hey, he's turning blue." And of course, then Drummond and Vic Thompson, and Morris Inquist lifted me out of the chair and laid me down. I remember when I was sitting there, it was 10 to 8, and when they got me around and the ambulance lifted me up, it was 8:15, and I don't remember anything between that. I was out. He said I didn't have no pulse, and then he pressured my chest to get me going. It took quite a while, I guess. And I remember waking up and I see this Morris Inquest with these whiskers above me holding my tongue. And that's the first I remember. And then I was just as normal as could be. The ambulance guy wouldn't let me get up. They thought it was my heart. But my heart was good. They checked my heart when I got to the hospital. Then they checked it after dinner again, and it checked out good. The only thing is my my pulse was
You actually
60 when I got there. And it come back up again after a while. And they had me monitor all the time on the machine. My heart showed good, so they let me come home. I went up after I got home, and we have 6 or 7 guys come up there and shake dice. And Ampride or Tornado Stop now. And shook dice. John said they can't go out and check cows anymore. So I didn't go out. And back to normal.
your heart actually did stop though.
Yeah.
And Mort told me that he thought it was probably about 2 minutes that it was actually.
I don't know.
That's kind of what he told me. He
But
said probably about 2 minutes.
Compared to the doctor, that grapefruit with the blood pressure pill, it swells your glands here in your neck. And that shuts the communication off from your heart to your brain. That's what set it off. They thought it was my heart, but it wasn't my heart. He figured that later on.
Because it really didn't do any damage to the heart at all in any way.
Heart's good. Just don't eat grapefruit after.
Not in 15 minutes.
High blood pressure pill.
Not in 15 minutes anyway. You gotta spread it out a little bit.
People that used to stay with us in Texas, they had blood pressure and they wouldn't eat no grapefruit. And Tom Smith won't eat grapefruit neither.
Well, anyway, I think
The doctor said eat it at noon, 4 hours after take. But you should only take 20, like I used to take 20 in the morning and 20 at night. That 40 is too strong for me. It pulls my pulse down too much.
Yep, I think that's enough talking from you now. I just think that we are the luckiest people. God has been so good to us all these years. We have these 9 healthy children, and basically we've been pretty healthy, and all these great grandbabies and grandchildren, the grandchildren first and then the great grandbabies. And he has really been just, we can't ask for more. And we need to be so thankful for all the blessings that we have received, because we're pretty darn lucky. And we've had a good life together. And we're going to keep on strong and torture these kids till we're 104 or whatever.
Yeah.
Amen.